I'm going to talk about the 5 mistakes that I've seen people make when they're doing a carnivore diet, because I want you to avoid these and actually get results. The one thing that I've learned through 20 plus years of helping people to make huge changes in their lives is that most of us are not going to take action unless we see a clear path to success. We are so programmed that to lose weight, we need to cut the fat from our diet. I didn't even think about the fact that I was taking the carbohydrates out of my diet, which, because I was eating so much of them, I was eating like 400 grams of carbs. That was the major energy source my body had. Without fat there, I did not even see that problem coming, which makes me laugh. But that's how programmed we are, that fat is bad. So you might not know this, but our body runs on fat and carbohydrates all the time. So even when you're doing a standard diet, your body is still using some fat as fuel. But most of it is coming, most of the energy in and out that's happening is the carbohydrates. And our body gets so much carbohydrate in every day that we put it into what they call fat storage mode, which just means that you eat carbs, your body stores them as fat. You eat carbs, your body stores them as fat. That's all carbs. Whether we're talking about cookies, we're talking about vegetables, or we're talking about fruit or rice. Any plant that you eat gets stored as fat because we eat too much of it. There's a second problem with that, though, is that by not eating enough fat, we're not eating what our body needs to build us either, because every cell in your body is built with animal fat. So even if you're eating things like, well, God, don't eat canola oil. That's just toxic. Canola oil, all the seed oils, vegetable oil, all that stuff. Don't eat that. That's toxic. But even if you're eating things like avocados and coconut oil and olive oil, our body is built with animal-based oils. So not eating healthy fat is a huge problem. And the clear answer to that is to eat normal cuts of meat. If you are one of those few people that just prefers lean cuts, I don't get it, because even when I was trying to lose weight, the fatty cuts taste the best. But if you're one of those people that just prefer chicken breasts and turkey and all this stuff, then you can also add fat to your lean cuts of meat, right? So you can add butter, tallow, ghee. You can fry those meats. That tends to put some fat in them. So frying, when you become carnivore, well, frying in general, when you become healthy, gets a little more expensive because vegetable oils, canola oils, so these fake harmful oils, toxic oils that we should never use, those oils are super cheap. Whereas tallow, ghee, and butter, lard is another good one, they are expensive to fry. And if you're going to fry, like, for example, fried chicken, so it's going to cost you a little more today up front to make your meal. But in the long run, the health your body's going to have, and so therefore not having to go to the doctor, not missing work, all those things, you're going to get it back in spades. And another good way to add fat is to, eat things like eggs. And if you eat this way, you don't need to fear gaining weight because of one simple thing. And I was surprised to learn this. Your body is going to give you a natural signal to stop eating if you're only eating meat and there is no vegetation on the plate. Pay attention that spices are vegetation. You might still struggle a little bit to get the signal if you're putting large amounts of spice on your food. But if you keep your spice light, I think you'll still be able to feel it. And if you don't feel it with the spices there, meat with just salt on it tastes amazing. Just putting that out there for something for you to think about. I definitely love it myself. The second mistake that I see people making on a carnivore diet is not understanding electrolyte balance. So first of all, carbohydrates and salt both cause water retention in the body. Funny enough, whenever we have high blood pressure, they tell us to take the salt out. We would do much better if they told us to cut the sugar out, because it's causing us to retain water and it's not actually an electrolyte, right? But regardless, electrolyte balance in the body is extremely important, and we know that it's important because our body has multiple ways to regulate it. A few of them are kidney intestines, endocrine system, respiratory system. All of these help to regulate the electrolyte balance in the body. So this is another one of those situations where we don't know how important the balance is until the balance isn't there. So when you remove sugar from your diet and you completely change the electrolyte balance because you lose water weight extremely quickly, which means that you lose a bunch of salt, potassium, and magnesium out of your body. And when that loss happens, we feel it. How we feel it is in the form of headaches, cramps, dizziness, fatigue, feeling off. This is especially going to be felt if you didn't do keto first. You still feel this on keto, by the way. I'm just saying you feel it more if you go straight from standard diet to a carnivore diet. So I had a similar experience when I started keto. Remember the headache. The headache was, I had no idea that that headache could have been solved so simply. Because one of the easy things that you can do when you take sugar out of your diet is increase the amount of salt that you're allowing into your diet. I will say that if you are doing a carnivore diet correctly, theoretically, you're not having a lot of processed food. So you're not having a lot of salt. So putting the salt back helps us to keep our magnesium and potassium. The other way you can mitigate this problem is by drinking bone broth, because bone broth is a great source of all the electrolytes. And of course, if you add salt, it will help you to hold on to the potassium and magnesium. What I do find a bit confusing is that the excess carbs were causing inflammation in our bodies, which was contributing to that high blood pressure, but salt and red meat is what gets blamed. So we stop eating those things. Our health is deteriorating regardless because the sugar is still coming. So I do find that part of the story frustrating, confusing, maddening. But the good part is we get to resume eating nice fatty steaks when we resume carnivore. The problem is that most people only eat fatty steak and like cuts of beef. And so in order for us to maintain good electrolyte balance, in order for our bodies to be healthy, if we only eat muscle meat from a cow, we're only getting that micronutrient profile. And some people say it's not enough. I'll tell you, I haven't personally experienced it not being enough. Like, so muscle meat's not keep me balanced, but I did amp up my salt. But for people who do report having problems, because there are people that their balance is just not there, they're still getting cramps and they're having all kinds of problems. I think that part of the reason this could be happening is that the animals that we're eating are not fed properly either. I mean, think about it, honest way. They're feeding us the cheapest possible way to increase their profits and barely keep us going. They don't care about the animals we eat. And so the animals are fed to be fat, not fed to be healthy. And so I think that that's part of the reason we're not getting the right micronutrient balance. I think that's the reason that our meat doesn't have enough omega-3 in it, which I believe it used to have enough. The way to combat this is to eat organ meats, because the organ meats have the highest concentration of all these nutrients that we need. Now, some people have a hard time eating organ meats. I know I used to because I didn't like the taste, and now I currently do because thalassemia, so I have to keep the amount of iron coming in low for my own health reasons. But most of you don't have that problem. So you can eat the organ meats if you can manage the taste. And can I just point out, if you do carnivore and you stick with it, which I definitely encourage you to do, about a year from now, when you're going to try organ meats again, you might be surprised to see that you love them, because when you stop eating sugar, you stop training your taste buds on sugar. So then when you eat things that you didn't used to like, you find out, wow, I actually like these things. That was a great realization for me with fish. Another type of muscle meat that you could eat that would give you a different profile, because beef and fish is not the same. I started to eat fish now that I've been carnivore for a year because it actually tastes good to me now. I hated fish before. So keep that in mind. Now, the same way that fish gives you a different profile, so does pork. So does lamb. So they're eating different kinds of muscle meat. We can also get a different profile of micronutrients. Eating eggs, another way to get, so the whole egg, another way to get all the micronutrients that your body is looking for. And I'm not sure if I said bone broth already here, but bone broth is another way to make sure that you get those micronutrients. Unfortunately, many of us don't give ourselves the time that it takes for our taste buds to adjust, or even for our body to adjust. We're just a little spoiled, Wellness Warrior. Can I say that? We've been eating dopamine releasing meals for so long that we don't know how to entertain ourselves away from the table. That causes us to give up on our good health when things take too much effort. You're going to go through withdrawal when you remove sugar from your diet. And it's going to feel bad. It's going to feel bad for several days. I remember it took me 3-ish days to feel better. But you know what happens once you feel better? You get to rebuild a healthier body, Wellness Warrior. You need to understand that your body is switching from burning sugar as fuel to burning fat. It's making that shift in just 3 days. Well, that's how long it took in my case, right? Like, I felt better. It was doing it 3 days later. If you think about it, could you have a company come to your home and replace your electrical baseboards with like a central heating system, the forced air kind, in just 3 days? Like, would your house be just back to normal looking in just 3 days? Probably not. Now, I do understand that our body already knew how to do this, right? All the mechanisms are already there. But not only is your body going back to using fat, it has to adjust your gut microbiome. It has to readjust all the electrolytes and all the other internal stuff that it needs to do for you so that you can feel better and get back to being healthy. The least that you can do for your body is stick it out, right? Is to keep going forward. To do this diet for, first of all, the 6 months it takes your body to adjust to any change that you make, because it takes your body 6 months to get fully into and accept that, okay, this is what we're doing now, and make all its modifications. And then keep going forward as long as you possibly can, because after putting in all that work, why would you stop? Especially when we know that this diet is healthier, why would you stop? And I do find it amazing that even though it takes 6 months for your body to fully adjust everything and be recalibrated to the new healthy thing you're doing, you feel better after about 2 weeks. I want to pause here and thank channel supporters for their contribution to books, videos, and other learning opportunities so that I can make these videos to help you get your health back. If you'd like to become a supporter, there's a link in the description that gives you the option to do monthly or one-time contributions. Okay, let's get back to the video. You feel better after about 2 weeks. You aren't healed yet, and you're already feeling better. Because your body won't be healed until you rebuild everything. And that could take 20 years. But you feel amazing right now. Have you ever wondered why that is? It's because our bodies are amazing, Wellness Warrior. When we do good behavior for our body rewards us immediately. It does this to try to keep us doing that good behavior. So you feel better because your body wants you to feel better, because your body wants you to keep doing this good behavior. So eat on plan, Wellness Warrior. The reason we are overweight is because we're eating sugar when our body was asking us for protein and fat. And if we discount how hard it is to get through that withdrawal process, because we feel better now, right? So we let it go and we go back to eating garbage. We pull our body back into the bad situation and we're going to feel horrible. Don't do it, Wellness Warrior. I made it through the withdrawal because I needed to heal my hip, and I correctly labeled what was happening to me, that frantic desire to eat junk. I labeled that correctly as withdrawal. That's how come I made it through. And after making it through, I knew that if I touched that stuff again, that stuff that made me withdraw, because I can only have withdrawal if I was, right? That stuff that made me withdraw, if I touched it again, I knew it would reignite my carb cravings. It would get me out of control again. It would pull me back into the weight gain diet that I just pulled myself out of. Be kind to yourself by acknowledging how hard it was to get to the place where you're eating only meat, that you're not touching the cookies and you're not eating the French fries. And don't allow yourself to fall back in because you're feeling better today after just 2 weeks. You're not healed yet. It's a trap, right? That trap was set for us more than 70 years ago, believe it or not. And it's still catching us. The trap that says that when you feel better, you're healed. Companies know that we're not healed. They know that if we touch their garbage again, we'll be chasing again. And we go out and we see our friends and we see our family members who can eat cake or chocolate once in a while, and they don't gain weight. They can manage. If they can manage, of course I can manage, right? This is the lie that we've been told, that was created by companies years, and it's trapping us. We can't manage. That's why we're here doing this diet. But guess what? When we don't get the results that all the influencers are saying, honestly, I lost all of the weight in 5 months. And there's some of you out there who aren't getting the results in 5 months. And you're looking at me and you're saying, but how come she could do it in 5 months, 80 pounds, and I can't lose 30? And it's been how many months? And we think the diet isn't working because we're comparing ourselves to these other people. But you know what? That's going to make you think the diet doesn't work. That's going to make you think that you just can't lose weight. That's not true. But if you think that you're going to go back to eating the garbage diet, Wellness Warrior, I'm here to tell you that both of those situations where I'm looking at that person who's eating junk and they're thin, or I'm looking at this person who's doing carnivore and how fast they lost weight, both of those situations are incomplete pictures. When I was overweight and frustrated and crying about how I used to be able to eat junk and stay thin, and now I can't do it. Everybody else around me can do it, and I can't do it. What's wrong with me? I had the answer, and I didn't even realize it. That data that I had, that I was ignoring, was that when I was thin, so when I was doing it, I wasn't actually healthy. The sugar that I was eating was causing joint pain. Like, the reason I started keto in the first place was because I had such huge, intense joint pain that I couldn't step up on a curb. That joint pain had started when I was in my early 20s. Other people have other problems. Some women have PCOS. Some people have heart problems, liver problems, cancer, blood pressure problems. The list goes on and on. If you cannot see the result of the sugar that you're eating, so weight gain, if you can't see it, skin problems, if you can't see the result of the sugar, be afraid. That means it's doing something harmful internally. If everyone around you seems to be managing carnivore easily and you're struggling, you may have more internal damage to overcome than that person had. I luckily only had inflammation issues to get rid of. So yes, my weight loss trajectory was quite swift. But there are other people who are struggling with much bigger things, and it's going to take them longer to lose weight. Does that mean you give up? No, it means you are even more focused on getting the garbage out of your life. Those spices that we refuse to let go of are the most toxic parts of the plant. So every time you're just cracking that black pepper onto your food, think about the damage that you're doing internally. What can you not see that's happening in there? Because that spice is doing something. It's not just the sugar, Wellness Warrior. There are toxins that you're also trying to clean up internally. Those influencers who talk about losing weight so easily but aren't sharing their struggles are making it sound easier than it is. That's why I talk about the fact that nuts kicked me out of ketosis a few times, because I want you to know that it's not as easy as it looks. I got kicked out. I struggled to get back in, right? Because they tasted sweet. It tasted good. Like, it was messing with my brain again. I was focused on the fun part of eating again, rather than focus on getting my health in order. And those weeks, where could I have been had those weeks not happened? The hope is that you learn from my mistakes once, or that's why I share and talk about what went wrong, because I know that it helps other people to see that the trajectory isn't a straight line. There's zigzags. Yes, people make mistakes. I make mistakes. It's normal to make mistakes. And by the way, this isn't a free pass to make you think that you could go out there and just, oh, I can make mistakes then? Like I just said to you, if you eat off plan and you get pulled back in, it's hard. Every time you mess up and touch carbs, putting it down is harder. Look around you. Look at the people who are trying to stop drinking. Look at the people who are trying to stop doing other harder things. If they touch it, they get pulled back in. My hope is by showing you that it's hard work, you come prepared to do the hard work, because carnivore is simple, but it's not easy. What can make this process simpler, though, is having a community. I'm encouraging you to join the Wellness Squad. In the squad, you can share your wins. Talking about your progress helps you to see your progress. So share your wins. And you can also ask questions when you're stuck, because knowing that there are answers out there helps you see the path that you're going to take to get to your next win. The only real competition is with yourself, Wellness Warrior. This is a personal path that you are on. And what you're trying to figure out is, can I do better tomorrow than I did today? And if I just keep doing that, I do better tomorrow than I did today. Every time I outdo myself, I'm giving my body exactly what it needs to heal, and therefore what it needs to help me lose weight. So I want to hear from you, carnivore beginners and veterans. And of course, it's a carnivore video. Add a steak emoji so I know that you made it to the end of the video. This is the video that you're going to watch next. I'm linking it down below so that you can leave your comment. I want to know what questions you have for me.